Capturing Cara, Dragon Lords of Valdier, Book 2, by S. E. Smith. Narrated by David Brenin. Prologue. "All stand for the Honorable Judge Tyneman," the bailiff said, in a deep, booming voice that echoed around the nearly empty courtroom. The 5 people in the small room that served as a courtroom in Tinville, Tennessee, stood as an older man came into the room pulling a dark robe over his T-shirt and jeans. After the judge had seated himself behind the huge podium, he pulled out a pair of reading glasses and glanced down at the papers in front of him. "What's the first case, Bill?" he bid out to the prosecutor, who traveled from county to county in the poorer communities just as he did. They had been weaving their dance for the past 20 years. "Case 101283, the city of Tinville versus Cara Truman," the squeaky voice of the prosecutor said. Judge Tyneman's head jerked up as his eyes flew around the room. A small clearing of a voice drew his attention to the tiny figure standing next to a well-dressed woman of about 40. He briefly closed his eyes when he saw the small girl waving back at him. A huge grin lit up the little girl's face as she called out, "Hi, Uncle Wilfred!" Wilfred Randall Tyneman let out a groan as he stared at his 9-year-old goddaughter. Glancing down at the paperwork again, he saw she had been caught speeding down Main Street on a riding lawnmower. It wouldn't have been so bad, except she had modified the engine and had been caught doing 50 miles an hour in a 25-mile-an-hour zone. This wasn't the first time he had seen his goddaughter in court, and he had a bad feeling it wouldn't be the last. He closed his eyes as he took a deep breath and remembered his promise to Cara's dearly departed mother. He had promised to help Cara's dad, James, any way he could in making sure Cara was raised in a safe, happy home. Wilfred cleared his throat and looked over at Bill, who was trying to act like he wasn't there. He then fixed a stern gaze on Cara. "Hi, honey. Now, do you want to tell me what in the hell you were doing driving 50 miles an hour?" Chapter 1. Cara jumped out of the taxi and hurried around to the back. She waited impatiently for the cab driver to unlock the trunk. She rolled her eyes when the young kid eyed her up and down before popping it open. At 5'2" and barely over 100 pounds when she was wet, Cara was used to guys sizing her up and usually finding her lacking. She had a head full of short, dark auburn hair with streaks of purple in it, a scattering of freckles across her small, perky nose, and a ready smile on lips just a little too full to be fashionable. Not to mention, at 24, she looked more like she was about 15. Unfortunately for her today, the young driver didn't look much older than she did and had been eyeing her in the mirror ever since he had picked her up outside her apartment. "So, would you like to go out sometime?" the pimple-faced driver asked nervously. "It all depends," Cara said, with a mischievous smile. She moved quickly around the kid to grab her small backpack containing her extra clothes and a heavy tool belt. "You see, I have to get clearance on you first. My uncle is head of the Eastern Mafia, so you'll have to submit a blood sample," Cara said, as she handed the kid a $20 bill. "Not a big sample, of course, just a tube or two." The kid's Adam's apple bobbed as he swallowed nervously. "Blood sample? For a date?" Cara grinned as she balanced the supersized coffee she had bought after leaving her apartment in one hand while picking up her tool belt with the other. "Of course." She winked at the boy and leaned closer, whispering, "You know, in case you're an undercover cop." Undercover cop?" the boy stuttered. Cara nodded knowingly. "Undercover cop. He has to make sure you're cleared, which means a full background check. If you are a cop, well, let's just say you wouldn't like it if he were to find out. Or maybe worse, a convict. You haven't ever been arrested, have you? I hope you don't do drugs."
Sample complete. Ready to continue?